And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the bottom line. My daughter calls me when I go on the air. She knows what time I go on the air. I hope it's not a crisis. If it is, she'll call me back. How about that? Glad to have you along with us on a Thursday morning. If you missed Juju and I last night, we weren't on because I was helping a friend of mine change automation systems for its radio station, and a little pre-consumed with that because if it hiccuped, you had to fix it or you fell off the air. So I told Juju, I said, why don't you come in and join us one morning? So he's going to come in Thursday morning.
Fantastic.
So the three of us will be here Thursday morning.
Fantastic.
And we'll see what we can get done on that Thursday morning. I want to talk some college baseball this morning. Of course, the women's softball is in full swing. Watched it last night. Tennessee and Florida State. One of the things that bothered me, and this, and congratulations to East Lincoln women's softball.
Mm-hmm.
They beat a machine in Western Alamance. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know how much of a chance they had based on the stats that Taylor Apple had put up over the season. Through the playoffs, nobody scored on them. They shut everybody out all the way through the playoffs to the championship game. They won, Western Alamance won the first one, I want to think, in 11 innings. And then East Lincoln came back and won back-to-back on the same day to beat them. And so congratulations. First women's softball state championship at East Lincoln. And congratulations to those girls. I know they're excited and proud of that. One of the things that happened in that game, and you know, I try not to be, well, sometimes I don't try. Sometimes I try to be very objective.
You are.
About the things. And then sometimes I don't do as well with that. And this is probably one of those times. And then I saw it rear its ugly head last night in the College World Series. Here again, you probably know more about this than I do. But on the game that East Lincoln was in, this was the way that I understood the rule. I don't know if this is the rule or not. Nobody's kind of giving it to me. So if there's somebody out there that follows softball, okay, let me know. My understanding was the pitcher's foot has to maintain contact with the rubber until the ball is released.
That's right.
Now, they let that go if you slide.
Yep.
If you lift the foot, they're probably going to call an illegal pitch.
They will.
So if you slide, okay, so that got called a few times in the East Lincoln game. And my question is, I'm just wondering, did it get called all season until then? And then last night, Tim Southers, good morning in Martinsville. Last night, Tennessee, Florida State was killing the ball. The first 3 or 4 runs that were scored between the two teams in the game, big-time home runs. Yeah. Big time. Yeah. They brought in a pitcher from Florida State came in, and Addison used to pitch some. So we were watching. She had 4 illegal pitch calls. And her coach said, nothing's changed because when you get to that level, that is such a routine. You're not changing anything. And what she did, she didn't push off the rubber. She had her heel to the rubber. And so she got called for illegal pitches. Now, by the rule, probably so. But my question is, when I watch these girls pitch, it's kind of like holding in football. You call it every time if you wanted to. They used to, the rule used to be it was the batter got to take the base. Now it's a ball.
It's a ball, yeah.
It's a ball.
And it should be.
Yeah.
It should be.
But they called it on her 4 times, and you saw her get a little frustrated because it hadn't happened before. And I'm thinking, now's not the time to get tight on the rules.
Well,
if it hadn't, and I watched a lot of softball through the series. Didn't see it called, and I'm sure she pitched a lot because she was pretty freaking good.
Yeah, and you know, it's like the baseball and softball state championships in the high school. You know, we had some local officials, you know, that called in the state championship games that were, you know, picked to do that. You know, they just don't go in a circle and say, okay, it's your turn. They take the best, highest graded ones. And I can tell you that, you know, from 20 whatever years ago in our state championship game, We had the best officials that you could possibly ask for. The thing that you get into when you have people that are very good at what they do, they pay attention to detail. They're not picky about it. They pay attention, to detail. That's why they are there calling the game. And it's kind of your point about the illegal pitches. There's going to be rule enforcement. It's kind of like the pickoff move to first base. It's with the left-handed pitcher. It's
right.
so hard to see whether or not the foot crosses, the rubber when they lift the leg up, or if the knee, if the foot doesn't when they're standing over here and first base is there. When you get in state championship games, if you're a left-hander that's been getting away with an illegal pickoff move most of the year, they got 3 or 4 officials. It ain't happening. You're not getting away with that illegal move.
But, in college softball, I'm pretty sure there are 3 umpires on the field.
Yeah.
Third base, first base, depending on where the base runners are.
Yep.
And your umpire at home.
3 to 4.
The first ones were called by the third base umpire. Mm-hmm. And then the first base got into it, and you could see the first base umpire kneeling down on the shot.
Yeah.
That to me looks like, now you're just hunting for something.
I think it may appear that way, but again, these people that are calling these games know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. As coaches and players, and I'm sure you felt this way too as both. I want the most credible people
absolutely
I can have that, are enforcing the rules of the game but not becoming part of the game.
But that's my point. That's my point, because the biggest thing I think that's missing in all of officiating, and I say this over and over, and you shouldn't see it when you get here, okay?
Right.
The biggest thing I think that you're missing in officiating is consistency.
Yeah, sure.
I want to see it every game, every series.
Too.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? I want to see it. I want to see it. Yeah. I don't like the rules tightened up because the games get more important. That's not fair to the kids.
See, I don't believe that's what – and I completely understand what you're saying. I can totally see that from what you're saying. However, personally, looking into it, I don't believe that's what is happening. I think it's rule enforcement, because there's a reason that rule is in place, because they can gain somewhat of an advantage lifting that foot. Yeah, instead of slide, they elevate.
It's a hop.
Get leverage.
Some of these pitchers do.
You get leverage.
And that's
Yeah, to your point. So I think in softball and in baseball particularly, they have to watch the pitcher, and they've got to. It's like a balk, in
right.
baseball. Same thing here in softball. And you just have to watch it. Now but I completely understand what you were saying there, and that does make sense. I just don't see it that way in this particular circumstance, because you have to. You really
have to make sure you get it right.
You do.
I know that,
and I'm not. I do get it. I do get.
I would just like to go back, because here again, if you go back and you look at the brackets, I like to see how many innings this girl pitched and how many times that call was made just in the College World Series.
Just alone, and then during the.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if it wasn't called during the College World Series, and just like I said, when you get to that level and you're starting pitchers in college softball playing in the College World Series, you can't tell the difference in any pitch that pitcher makes.
Right.
The movement, the moment, everything. It's mechanical,
right.
because they've got that honed.
Right.
That's the part that bothered me, because last night was not the first time. And here's the thing, in complete, putting everything on the table, I was pulling for Florida State because they're in the ACC. I'd like to see them win, okay? Not a Tennessee fan, sorry. And we'll be pulling for them against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's 51 straight wins.
So Oklahoma did beat Stanford yesterday, is that right?
Yeah, and I like Stanford too.
I watched that game.
Stanford's got a great ball team.
Just winning to extra innings, and it was impressive. It was an impressive game.
Milton said it's getting to the point some officials think they need some spotlight. You talking about TV Teddy? Teddy's a friend now. Be gentle. And I don't think it was that. I just thought I just didn't like the scrutiny that was being applied at that point, unless that same scrutiny had been there. Just like I've said in football. if you let certain calls go by, your kids, I taught my kids
Yes.
to push to the edge of the limit till you get caught. I'm not going to fuss at you. But then when you get caught, you know how far you can go. Like a pitcher that paints the strike box.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
I don't see that strike box change in the fifth inning.
Yeah. And again, I believe during regular season and even early playoff rounds, there's a lot of things that are more loose because things are not enforced or focused on. When you get to championship play, I mean, there's things that happened. I can remember not just as a player but as a coach. There are things that happened in games that were not playoff caliber games that you would never see happen. Calls that weren't made in a playoff game. For example, we have first and third. All right, we're on offense. All right, so we got a guy hitting. Left-handed pitcher, we're playing up at Franklin. My guy gets the lead. The first baseman's coming in to play the bunt. He's maybe 15 feet in front of the bag. All right. The first baseman throws over to first, and the first baseman's nowhere near it. He throws it to the first baseman up here. They don't call a balk. You have to attempt a tag if it's not thrown near the base. You have to at least give an effort. It's still a balk if you're that far away. God just stopped and said, guys, that's a balk. Umpires just looked at me. I'm like, what? Whoa, hold on a minute. What's going on? This is like Pizarro world. Coach, that's not a balk. He can throw the ball to first base. I was like, clean it up.
Yeah.
Sir, he's 15 feet in front of the base, 20 feet. He has to attempt to tag. No, he doesn't. I'm like, excuse. Now, this is a game that had playoff implications. We ended up losing that game and not getting to go to playoffs. I mean, that's a balk. We win by one. Instead, the game stays tied. They come up, all right, hit a dribbler. We throw it away. No problem. They bunt the ball, pop it up. Point is, it's just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff that just, that you're like, God, if, we just had people that knew the rules or would enforce them, then the game could be cleaner. So I wouldn't say it's an injustice or misjustice or anything like that.
I mean, Florida State still won. I just didn't like – I don't like to see, everything's here, and then all of a sudden we're way up here. Wait a minute. Where did that come from?
Yeah. I just think pitching's a little bit more specific. And to your point, from a fan's standpoint, holy cow, I haven't seen this called in whatever. Now they're calling it.
Well, that's what Florida State's coach said. Yeah. She said in the entire season, they had one illegal pitch call for their entire season.
Well, but that doesn't – now, that is probably true, but that doesn't make it what they're doing not illegal.
That's correct.
It's like a holding call.
Going back to the consistency thing.
Yes. So, there's enforcement and, but, hey, there's a lot of games out there. That's like in high school football. I really believe with lack of officiating and the quality of the – and I'm talking about not people not trying to give a good effort. I'm talking about the experience part of things. You're going to see conference games, different conferences play on Thursday. This conference plays on Friday, and this one plays on Saturday.
Because of officials.
You're going to have to. Or even a Monday night conference.
Now, I'll say this, and I'm not teeing off on officials or umpires.
No,
okay, that's not it. Because one of the other things that happened, and I'll tell you this, the announce crew they have for the Women's World Series is as good as it's ever been.
They know what
Beth Mowins does the play-by-play. Jessica Smith and Jennifer Mendoza. Mendoza does some Major League Baseball.
She is legit.
I mean, those ladies know exactly what they're doing. And they were talking about how the umpire and catchers communicate and they had a mic so they could hear them. An umpire will – let's say that a pitcher throws an outside corner and it's low, the umpire will say that was low and outside, or the umpire would say you need to get that up a little bit. Well, what that did was that told the catcher, okay, we know where the corner is, as I'm saying, trying to paint that box.
Exactly.
And I don't want to see that change. I don't like to see that box change. I just want the consistency factor of it. And I felt bad for the pitcher because I knew in watching enough softball that she wasn't doing anything last night when she came in relief than she had done all season long. somebody needs to correct or fix that before you get to here.
Yeah.
Which is the way that I looked at it.
Yeah.
Richie said umpires have been like that across the board in baseball and softball. And Milton said officiating needs to be consistent from day one of the season, and it does.
Yeah.
Sheldon, good morning. Shelton was at the game. East lost Friday night in the bottom of the 8th on a 2-run walk-off homer. Lost 6-4 and then come back in big-time fashion on Saturday afternoon. We had all of those games on WLON. So awesome. David Keever and them were covering them. And Richie said, on this day in history, we have the D-Day invasion. And then Buddy Baker fell out of the back of an ambulance at Smoky Mountain Raceway in 1968. I'm not even familiar with that story, Richie. That's a pretty good one. Let me take a break, and we'll be back in a minute.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4 Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. All my equipment's not working properly this morning. I apologize. I was going to fix that during the break, and then I got still talking about softball. I told Ford one of the coolest moments last night, and I wish I could remember the girl's name. She hit a home run, and I don't think she'd had but like 8 at-bats, either through the regionals or something, and I think it was her first home run, and whoever caught the ball, a fan that caught the ball, made sure that ball got to that girl's mother.
That's
and
so cool.
And you don't see that a whole lot.
Yeah,
and I thought that was a great thing to do. But I apologize for talking so much about it. I just absolutely love watching college softball. One of my favorite things to do. And then I got into one of the things that when you're out in Oklahoma, you know how the weather can be.
Mm-hmm.
So out in Oklahoma, they have a lot of storms and stuff, and it's they have delays and those type things. So I switched over and started watching the baseball playoffs. And the college baseball is way behind. The College World Series of Softball will start tomorrow night. Okay, they'll finish up, and college baseball is just trying to get to the super regionals. They're just completing their regional play.
Right.
So it's a couple of weeks behind.
Yeah.
But
They trail it.
it was a lot of good baseball. My Tigers got beat.
Yeah.
And they got beat by Charlotte. And Charlotte got humiliated by Tennessee. Of course, I knew that neither one of them could beat Tennessee probably, even though Clemson was fourth. In softball they were ranked fourth.
Yeah.
But they were hosting a regional, and had they won their regional, could have got a super regional because they were a nationally ranked team. That's how they do the super regionals. I'm learning more about baseball. But I can watch, and I haven't tried really Major League Baseball except the game we watched when we were down at the beach. I can watch college baseball because it just seems to move a little faster.
It does. And Major League Baseball is doing that now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's last night I was watching, I think, the Marlins and the Royals. Marlins brought a guy in from the bullpen, taking too much time, whatever, doing this. Ball one. Coach out there like, what are you talking about? I said, hey, look, that's the rule. So he started that, ball one. So he throws a pitch, strike, ball two, throws another pitch, the guy on first and one out, ground ball to second base. Guy tags second, throws first, game over. So they keep it, they're enforcing to keep it going. You lose viewership, then the TV contract really doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. And that's what all the sports is about
right now. I think what people are finding out is, look, people want to. I think people want their companies and their sports teams to do what they do well.
Mm-hmm.
And the world's kind of taking it ebbs and flows, and the pendulum swings 75% this way, it goes back to zero, and swings 75% this way.
Mm-hmm.
And, right now, I think people are saying, "Hey, look, you play ball, play ball."
Going back to Clemson, Tennessee, and Clemson had to go 14 innings the night before, and then lost to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then came back and not. I'm not making excuses. I'm really not. And then Virginia wound up outlasting East Carolina. East Carolina played well.
Yeah.
Local product Lane Hoover. He had a good game.
Yeah, he's a good player. Really good player. He's had a great career at ECU.
But the ones that come out of the regional, Southern Miss comes out of the Auburn regional.
Mm-hmm.
LSU comes out of theirs. Virginia comes out of theirs. There was Army and East Carolina, and Oklahoma was in that one. Clemson, Lipscomb, Tennessee, and Charlotte. Tennessee wins the regional. And then out of the South Carolina regional, Campbell was expected to win that one, projected earlier, but they got beat 16-7 by South Carolina. So South Carolina moves on. Who was the guy that was the coach there when they won it, Ray Tanner?
Yeah, Coach Tanner.
Yeah. And then Coastal comes out of theirs. They were in there with UNC Wilmington, Rider, and Duke. Texas wins the Miami regional. They beat Miami in the final game 10-6. In the Arkansas regional, it was TCU. It was TCU, Arkansas, Arizona, and Santa Clara. Florida regional, it was Florida. As they defeated Texas Tech, they had to do a doubleheader type thing to come out of it. The Lexington regional, hosted by Kentucky. Kentucky wins it. The Vanderbilt regional, it was Oregon coming out on that one. Stanford defeats Texas A&M 2 straight games to win the Stanford regional. Oklahoma State. And I didn't know the team. Juju and I were talking about it last week. DBU, that's Dallas Baptist,
yeah,
and they're pretty good in baseball.
They're very good.
Are they just a small private school, or?
Yeah, and they are. They are very that is. top tier, top flight, serious. You know, anytime you get in that Midwest regional, especially in the southern part of the Midwest, you know, and you start dropping down into the Panhandle and, you know, getting down like, you know, Louisiana, Mississippi, you know, Alabama, all of those, Texas, that you get into some power baseball. And, you know, you're talking about power arms, like big, strong power arms, and just big kids that play, you know, that play baseball. It's almost like a brute game, you know, when they're there. They try to come out there and just muscle you out.
The other surprise team, the team that beat Dallas Baptist, was Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts,
Another
Dallas
great
Baptist,
university for
Oklahoma
baseball.
State, and Washington. That's
Yes.
that's two programs,
Very
not too much of a
serious.
slouch either.
And they are very specific in who they recruit. You know, they're a specialized type, you know, institution. You know, I mean, yeah, they go out and recruit kids and all that, but you know, there are certain kinds, you know, with that, you know, private college or whatever. But you know, it's just interesting to me, like Oregon State, the Beavers, who beat Carolina a couple of times in the national championship a few years ago. You know, Oregon is in it, I believe, this year. You know, they made it to the Super Regional, and you know, Oregon State has been at very high levels, caused Oregon who has had good baseball. You know, the Ducks have had good baseball for a long time, but what I don't see in there is USC. I don't see UCLA.
Yeah, we were talking about that
Cal Poly. You know, some of these teams, like when I was coaching at UNC Asheville, we went out and played in the Johnny Quick Pepsi Classic out in Fresno, at Fresno State. Another great baseball school, right? And it was like a spring break type tournament, right? So there was Cal Poly out there, Indiana State, which is
Indiana State won theirs.
Right, which, you know, has had good baseball traditionally for a long time.
Isn't that Larry Bird's college?
Yeah.
Didn't he go to Indiana State?
Yeah, after he left Indiana, right?
I think that's right. Yeah.
No, yeah. So it's just really interesting, you know, like Southern Illinois had good baseball, Indiana State, and it's just interesting to me that like UCLA, USC, California, some of those we're not seeing consistently in the regionals or even the regional finals or super regional. So, you know, the field's a little I don't say that it's skewed, but you got Virginia and Duke playing each other. I'm telling you, Lanny, I would not count Duke out.
And you know, Duke had they had a pretty good softball team too.
Yeah.
They did pretty well.
I wouldn't count them out. You know,
surprised by Wake Forest? Wake
No.
Forest dominated.
No.
They only played 3 games. They beat George Mason 12-1.
Yeah.
They beat Maryland 21-6. And in the final game, they beat George Mason again 15-1. So they outscored George Mason 27-2 in 2 games.
Basically. And, you know, Grant was telling me that he went down – he took the boys down, I guess, a month or so ago to watch them play. And I think they were playing – I can't remember who they were playing. But he's going to watch them and then go watch Julian pitch at UNCG, the boy that – Julian Puzzell that pitched at St. Stephen's. That was you know, he had a really good freshman year at Greensboro, like really good year. And he was telling me he said Wake Forest is just – he said they're number 1 in the country. He said it's unbelievable. He said they are massive. They pitch well, they hit well, they run well. He said it's incredible. We have the best baseball in the country within 2 hours of the house. I mean, look how well Clemson did this year.
Oh, yeah.
Look how well UNC Charlotte did.
And I think it was Bob, Chip Fisher plays at Charlotte's, the son of Chip Fisher, 82 graduate of Freedom up in Morganton.
Yeah, he's a great athlete.
Oregon State did make it out of the regionals. I'm good with that. Still a little salty over the back-to-back championships over Carolina, Richie said.
Let me tell you this, Richie, I understand that as a Carolina fan. Okay, I get it. But that was not on Oregon State. And I know Richie knows that was a 100% on Carolina. When they can't cover first base, okay, like they're supposed to, the kid got his feet tangled up. He didn't play first base a lot. They had him playing there so he could, you know, have the stick in the lineup. And then, you know, he had his feet tangled up like this, and then the ball was thrown over here. He couldn't reach over because his body was out of position. I mean, it got that specific.
Wow.
And, you know, that's when, you know, Coach Fox was the head coach at Carolina, Chad Holbrook. who was a longtime assistant at Carolina, or played at, from Shelby, Eddie Holbrook's boy, played at Shelby, played at Carolina, was a longtime assistant there, then went with Coach Tanner to South Carolina, became an assistant, and then eventually became the head coach there. So, you know, a lot has rolled over, and then it's got some local flavor to it, you know, with these kids. Wow.
Richie also said he saw a couple days ago that for the second time in franchise history, the Orioles have won 35 games before June 1st.
Yeah, it's interesting how.
And you don't think of it as small market baseball, but it is, and they have very small payroll.
But they have their small market and extremely rich tradition. Right?
Yes, yes.
And
you hate to see them not do well, but they've been a laughing stock for many years.
Yeah, and I mean, you just kind of like, well, you know, it's the Orioles. But then when Ripken and his dad and his brother were there, you know, you had Eddie. I had egg protein this morning. Eddie. Oh my God. But anyway, first baseman. You know, just a lot of great Brooks Robinson, you know, lots of great history there. But like you said, small market, right? But you think of them as a large, you know, market type team.
Richie said he was watching the World Series last night, College World Series, trying to figure out when they started letting guys lean into a pitch. Saw a lot of that this past weekend in the regionals. I thought they always had to make an attempt to get out of the way.
I understand that.
And there was a batter interference in one of the games, and I'm trying to remember in baseball that I saw it, and it did make a difference in the score.
Yeah. You get in the box. Now, if you're in the box, you get hit, you can go on. Now, you can't take your knee.
No, I'm talking about a batter interference. This was a guy that he was a left-handed batter.
Right.
Took his swing, and a guy was stealing second, and he continued on in front of the catcher on the last.
Deliberately.
That's what they call it.
Yeah. Well, when you can't be deliberate with it, you know, you swing and miss. You're protecting a runner to. You know, but you can't fall over the plate or get in the way of the throwing.
I used to tell Addison all the time it didn't matter how you got on base. Lean into it.
Yeah.
Get up there and crowd the plate. Take one for the team.
There's a lot of them that'll, you know, stick their elbow and their knee in there, you know, as long as they're in the box. You know, but again, you know, a lot of times, and even in the past, to Richie's point, these guys have been in the plate, ladies, whatever, and they're inside the box. If any part of your body leaves the box to get hit by the pitch, it's towards the plate, not away from the plate, but towards the plate, then they say, hey, no. And I've seen a strike call before when somebody got hit with a ball. That ball hit me. Yeah, but you were standing on the inside part of the plate and you stuck your knee into it, and it's a strike.
Let me ask you this, too, because I don't think I've got this rule right. If I'm batting and I get hit in the hand on the bat, is that hit by pitch, or is the hand part of the bat? And
there's no rule that says hand's part of the bat.
Okay.
That is one of those things that people – and we all do it. We hear things.
And that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no,
that's why I'm asking.
You know, we have that herd mentality. The hand's part of the bat. No, the hand is part of the body, okay? It's just really hard to discern the difference between the two. And I've had many arguments with umpires. The guy come back, and all his hands are blue right here. And he's like, Coach, it hit the bat. I'm like, you see his friggin' hand? Yeah, but I said, you're going to hear a lot of times.
Well, yeah, you're going to hear.
You know, I said, but look at his hand. We got to use common sense and get the call right. Doesn't matter what you heard. It's what happened.
Yeah.
It's like one year, check this out. I got one for you. And neither umpire.
Eddie Murray. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Mike. I'm so, golly, thank you, brother. I'm so sorry. I know I need to eat like a bowl of fish or something. But anyway.
Eggs.
Do that too. So I got a kid up there hitting, all right? Dude throws a change up from AC Reynolds. We didn't have I don't ever think he's thrown a change up in his life. We had nothing on our pitching chart, hitting chart, nothing on him ever throwing a change up. So it's a calculated hit and run. My guy swings. The ball hits him in the nose, rolls back out about halfway to the mound. Well, it's just a swing and miss, okay? All right? That's all it is. Nothing to it. Pitcher from Reynolds picks it up, throws it to first base. Umpire goes, he's out. My kid's nose exploded.
I was getting ready to say, why is that not hit by pitch?
Like, God. Well, now, I was 29 or 30 years old, so I was a little more fired up back then than now. You know, a little more energetic.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky I got to still coach high school ball after that. But I asked the guys, I said, you know, we had two umpires, and neither one – I truly believe after years of reflection on this that neither one of them in it didn't want to make the right call. Okay, I just think they didn't see what happened because it was so crazy. Like the one guy behind the plate said, I thought he hit it off the end of the bat. I was like, no, he hit it off the end of his nose because there's like a 30 foot radius of a blood splatter.
Wow.
Okay, and there was no second shooter. I want to be very clear about that. Okay.
On the grassy knoll.
Yeah, I had to kind of throw stuff
That's
in
okay.
there to, kind of calm the moment back down because I'm slinging ice packs everywhere. The trainer brings the kid an ice pack out, and I take it in my hand and I throw it on the ground. But anyway, they got together and they eventually said, "Hey, it's not an out; it's a strike." And I believe they let the runner stay at second. So, which if you swing at it and it gets you hit, it's basically a delayed dead ball. So I think that's right. Anyway, crazy stuff.
So if you swing at it, and it hits you, it's not a hit by pitch?
Oh, you got hit by the pitch, but it's a strike.
Wow.
You swing at it. Well, think about it. You got a curveball, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, from a left-handed – like I did this a lot as a left-handed pitcher throwing a right-handed hitter. There were many times that I threw curveballs at younger age. Of course, guys had never seen them or weren't used to them. And I would throw it towards the middle of the plate, and they would swing at it and end up hitting them in the leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dad's a pro guy, so, I mean, I learned how to throw a curveball real tight at a young age. I watched these guys and watched all this stuff, and I'm sitting there, and I'm not throwing your slurve. I'm throwing a 12-6 hammer and then bringing in the roundhouse slurve later, right? Know how I could hit anybody anytime with a breaking ball and make it not look intentional. Fantastic.
Let me take a break before we hit somebody with the ball.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. And welcome back. Pow, 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 pow. I know what that is. Yeah. Oh, life in a small town.
I'm going to tell you what, talking about umpires, I'm going to tell you this. One of my favorite people in the history of the world, and still is today, is Frank Snyder. When he called baseball, he was awesome. I mean, awesome. I mean, just, the way Coach Snyder talks, he's got that deep voice.
I'd have to see him umpire.
Dude, he was great.
Because he's another one who has no blood pressure. He's just real mellow.
Yeah. Oh, man. He was great.
Morning, Duck.
I said, Coach Snyder, that ball looked really low. Ball came across the plate, came across the zone straight, and that's what we're going to stick with. I said, well, I know you're not going to change it because we're in the bottom half of the inning. I said, but that ball looked awful. They said, nope, ball came across, strike. He said, why don't you try to score some runs right here and not worry about it? I said, yes, sir, I believe I will. Thank you very much. He was great, man. But I played for Coach Steiner when I was 16. And
there was
he's just tremendous, man.
There was a guy who, in my opinion, was a legend at umpire. Mm-hmm. He was out of Cherryville.
Sam Holmesley.
His name was Julius Airwood.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Airwood was real thin, small man, and when he stopped doing high school baseball, mm-hmm. he started doing rec league softball.
Right.
When I was coming through high school, and this was back in the day. Now he wore the big chest protector that you hold, not under the clothes. This is before they had that.
Right.
And I always caught because I couldn't throw, so I was the catcher. And I played catcher for a number of years till it got to where I couldn't get up and down good. I became a first baseman because I still couldn't throw. But anyway, he would work behind the plate. And he took a foul ball right beside the mask one night, and it looked like a 2x10 hit the ground. He just went straight down, knocked him out. But he was a great guy. The only thing you had to worry about, make sure he didn't spit on you because he was chewing. You'd see the spit pattern.
Traditional guy. You'd
see the spit pattern around. Yeah. But a little bitty man, and he was. When I talk about consistency, he was as consistent would be.
Yeah, man.
Everybody wanted to have Mr. Airwood. I'd hate to think how many games he umpired. I tried umpiring one time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I thought, well. If
everybody should have to do it one time.
The other sports that I played, I felt like I knew too much about. I'd be too biased. So I said, if I umpire baseball, I can kind of learn it from the ground up, how it works. And I went through the training thing, and it wasn't for me. Never called a game. Just didn't work out. I had went to who had the sporting goods store in Shelby that Mike Grayson's store?
S&K.
Mike was the only one that saw equipment.
Suzanne and Mike, S&M.
You could get the blue umpire shirt and all that kind of stuff. So I went up there, went to a couple of training games out at they were like preseason games in high school baseball. Went to Newton, and that's when Fatty Hudson was the booker.
Jerry.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yep.
Great.
Fatty was the booker.
I love those guys,
and,
man.
I just wanted to try it, but that wasn't for me.
I'll tell you the greatest one coming out. I mean, there was some really good. Jerry Hudson, Fatty Hudson, great. Seth Keener is the booking agent now, and he does a good job. Chris Reynolds was one of the guys I was talking about. I didn't mention his name, but he called in the state championship this past weekend, or last weekend baseball. And I coached Chris. He's from Fred T. Ford. I coached him in the Legion Ball when he was a senior at Hickory. Great guy. He started officiating immediately. He's very good at what he does. But anyway, my favorite one. I have so many favorites of umpires and so many friends over the years, and maybe a couple enemies, but over the years. But Sam Holmesley. Do you remember Coach Holmesley? He coached football at Burns, but he also he lived in that Cherville area or whatever, and he would call baseball. And he's behind the plate. I always have his shirt tail out. He's about this tall, real gruff. Come over there and he put that mask on. He'd say, "Let's play ball!" Like that when we'd start, everybody big cheer and everything. He was fantastic. And let me tell you what we did. we were playing Lincoln, and Sam had to call by himself. Well, I put the double squeeze on. Runners on second and third. Only one umpire. Now, it works really good with two umpires, but only one umpire, right? So we bunt the ball. We're stealing from third. Slides in safe. Well, Sam has to look, for the slide at home. There's no play, but he's got to make sure they get ready to throw to first. When my guy from second comes around and doesn't stop, keeps scoring. He may or may not have touched third base. I can't remember.
Nobody there to see it.
So he comes in, and I mean, he's like practically behind the guy from third, right? And then Bobby Martin, Coach Martin, who's a good friend of mine, from Maiden. He coached at Lincoln for a long time, won a state championship in '95. Great guy. He comes out of the dugout. He's losing his mind. I'm like, what happened? What's the problem? And Sam figured out what happened. He looked at me. Sam took his mask off. He looks at me and says, "Now 4?" I said, God.
Other umpires. I never played, but the guys that I know, Wayne Yunt has done it forever.
Now, I'm going to tell you something. There's not a finer man on the planet than Wayne Yunt. And when people talk about doing something for the community or because they love something, not because they get paid for it,
that's
and
correct.
Again, I have no problem with people wanting to get paid to do things. I'm not but what I'm saying is when you look at service, he is that guy.
Yeah. I mean, he loves the sport and loves what he does.
And enjoys the interaction with the players, and he's just a very loving, very caring. You're not supposed to say that as a man, but I'm done with the man-hating thing, okay? You can be very compassionate and very loving, to your other people and still be strong and take care of your business, okay? Yeah, I'm done on the stuff about,
I gave up macho a long time ago.
Let me tell you something. Most of the time, young men want to get out there, gruff it out a little bit, maybe, fight, whatever, when they're little kids or whatever. It's important to understand that being able to control those emotions when you get older is what's important. But in theory, most people, most men have that aggression that they still have even into
just kind of natural.
Well, and that's okay. What we can't do is, regardless of what is being said, that's what. And a lot of times, we don't understand why, like young men, and I was one of them in school. I didn't have hyperactivity disorder. I didn't want to sit in a cubicle and work on one thing. That's why you say, well, not you, third person. You say, well, yeah, but that kid can sit down and play video games for like 4 hours nonstop. Well, of course he can. He's got 16 different things stimulating him while he's playing. That's what boys do, right? They're not sitting in cubicles at 5 years old and working on one thing.
That's right.
I didn't care about that. But anyway, that's my whatever for the
Now, a couple things I did want to mention here also, just kind of things that first happened. Rose Zhang, she is a 20-year-old college player. She won her LPGA pro debut. And do you know what they're saying? They're saying that when you watch her, she's tigeress.
Oh,
I mean, she's
really?
got that kind of talent.
That kind,
and I've said this forever. I would rather watch women's golf than men's golf because of the consistency thing. A woman has got the prettiest swing. Forgive me, ladies, you can't putt. You don't do a good job reading and putting, but they have got a pure swing. It's not like a guy. We're screwing around with our swing every time we swing. A woman's swing is every time. You used to love watching Annika.
But there's something to be said. I can actually see the board today. Wow.
Big picture.
We'll watch the swing. Okay, now that's flawless, okay?
Yeah.
Fine motor skills. You know, what we see a lot in younger ladies when you have, you know, kids that are like, you know, under 12, that ladies have, you know, as far as hitting the ball go, have actually you know, better fine motor skills at that age.
Their body matures
Yeah,
faster.
and that's okay. You know, it's just one of those things. But, you know, when you watch LPGA golf and you watch men's golf, right, I'm going to tell you, Laney, in today's game, with the exception of the distance, there's very little difference.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and what I mean by that is you know, you can see how hard, not only men and women, how hard the people that play the game work on their craft. You can see it. It's impressive.
She's a 2-time NCAA champion and the first player in 72 years to win on the LPGA Tour on her pro debut.
That's impressive.
Now, there was another young lady back in 2005 that did it, and she just kind of faded away. You remember Michelle Wee?
Oh, yeah.
She was another phenom that was out there, but just kind of faded away. But I heard that one over the weekend as well. Just wanted to mention it as far as something that was happening in the world of sports. NBA basketball playoffs are continuing. I haven't watched any of it. NHL is continuing.
They're still playing basketball?
Yeah, they play into June. The Bills break ground on their new $1.54 billion stadium. If there's ever been a franchise that needed,
and it's
because
wonderful.
the community loves it.
It's incredibly exciting. Hopefully, are they going to put a dome on it? I hope they don't.
I don't think so.
And now I know that sounds crazy, but
I don't even think they're doing retractable. The pictures I have seen, it looks like there is. It's kind of like the Cowboys, or I can't remember the stadium.
Oh,
it's covered over the seats,
okay.
but the field is open.
It's just I don't know. It's something about Buffalo and the weather.
Don't you think it's an advantage?
100%. I mean, think about.
I mean, a lot of people wanted Minnesota to go back to outdoors.
What about New England? All right, you know, Foxborough. It may or may not snow. Like there's a fine line between rain and snow in Boston and Foxborough and all that, right? But think about this. I don't know if you remember this, and I'm sure some of our friends listening do. When they showed like Brady and the Patriots practicing, they were practicing in a snowstorm.
Yes.
Like, and Belichick's out there. He's got, I mean, Laney, the snow is literally 1.5 feet, 12, 18 inches deep. And they're out there practicing in it.
Yep.
And you can just feel the anxiety, not from the players or the coaches, but from the media. Yeah. Like, why are you doing this? This is crazy. Why do you – I mean, we want to play a football game when it rains.
I know.
But yet, well, what happened? You know why? Guess what they did against the Raiders?
Oh, I know.
They went out there and swept a little spot off after the tuck rule.
Do you think –
all right.
Do you think that Las Vegas ain't going to have an advantage with the home games in the heat?
Exactly. So, there's a way to – there's just a way to, to capitalize on, like you said, home field advantage in the environment. You have to adapt to your environment. It's not being strong enough to do it. You got to adapt to it and play within it. And if you're practicing it, I'm just giving an example, but if you're practicing in L.A., you can't practice in the snow.
No.
Unless you have the guy from, Pelican Snowballs come out there and, have that gun that just,
you ain't got anything.
But you see what I'm saying? I mean, there's a difference in playing. This game is in an open setting. It's not a closed setting. Football is an open setting game. Baseball is more of a closed setting like basketball is, even though you have some weather stuff with baseball and softball. But football is an open setting.
Football is different in that baseball, you can't play in a torrential downpour.
Correct.
Okay? Football, you can. As long as it's not thunder and lightning, you can still go out there and play.
So you can on turf in baseball now. So there's a lot of baseball games that are not
But how do you get through the soggy balls? Because don't the leather – I mean, I didn't even go there. You went there. You didn't have to go there. Have you ever heard soggy balls brought up before?
Sweetie.
Jeez.
But anyway
I've lost him now. Green Bay would be another one. Yeah, Milton said like the old Texas Stadium. That's the way it is. Green Bay would be another one. If Green Bay your wife just said behave. She saw you. I didn't do anything.
God,
I didn't do anything.
awful.
Yeah. I've lost him, guys. The rawhide from the baseball, it's not synthetic. Does that not affect how the ball plays, travels off the bat, throws?
It does. That's why you throw it out and get another one.
Yeah, but if it's pouring down rain, you can't do that
It
all
travels
game.
in the air
Okay.
when the ball spins, the water can't get on it.
Richie said sweaty balls.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Oh, God.
I've lost him forever. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost home. I'm trying to make it. I was good. Bill says just like Denver has an advantage of thin air, less oxygen. It's an advantage. Yeah, you got to take advantage of those home games. I've never seen baseball played in a downpour, even with artificial turf or synthetic balls, just in case. Okay, have a great day. We'll be back and we'll try it again on Thursday. See you guys.